Hey everyone, it's Maureen. I just wanted to take an opportunity to make a video about dolls since I haven't discussed them that much recently. And I wanted to show you this particular one, which I haven't shared with you before. I happened to notice when I went through my information, other than sharing this lovely doll on Instagram, I hadn't really talked about her very much. So I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background about her and about some of the upcoming doll projects I have. Specifically, this lovely lady you're seeing here is inspired by the Dutch Golden Age. And with that, one of the big situations that was happening at that time frame, if you remember kind of the Dutch Golden Age painters like Vermeer, you were noticing a lot of domestic family scenes and interior paintings of the time frame, which we have some modern versions like the movie called The Girl with the Pearl Earring, which is based on Vermeer's painting, and it's a book, a fictional book based on the idea of, gee, how did that come to be? And there's been other works that have been inspired by this time frame. Specifically, our little doll here was one that was gifted to me by one of my family members. And I was told that I could redress her and, make an outfit for her however I liked. So I stripped her down to pretty much nothing. And what I particularly did is I redid her wig. I decided to actually make it out of flax fiber to kind of make that flaxen-haired situation that sometimes you see that was popular. Blonde was actually popular in the 16th and 17th century. And besides making a nice new wig for her, I also redid all the clothing. She originally was dressed as a nun doll, which is all well and fine, but I wanted something that was a little bit historical in a different way. Granted, ecclesiastical robes are very period. Most of the ones you see depicted tend to be of the Poor Clares. A lot of them are depicted in art. She was dressed in a more contemporary habit, so I said to myself, well, let me see what inspires me and what I want to make. So in this time frame, I decided to dress her from the skin out. So she has a linen underdress, which I can kind of show you right here. There's the linen underdress, goes all the way up. You can see a little bit of it right there. And then I have a black silk taffeta underskirt that has quite a bit of pleating in it to create fullness. And I was able to do that without needing a bum roll with it being so pleated up at the top, which I know you don't get to see unless I really flip her and completely expose the bottom. But let's give her a little bit of modesty. Besides the black underskirt, we also have this double layered silk 4-part here. And then I used this wonderful trim. I had several yards of this trim. And it turns out it has linen fibers in it. It matches the hair fibers perfectly, so I know it's the same thing. And I burn tested it, and it burns it completely. So that tells me it's a natural fiber. So from there, I made the more structured bodice and outer dress. Outer dress is made from a brown silk taffeta. Now it looks brown to us, but in the dyeing process, you run into situations where when you're creating a dark color, it might have more of a green or brown tone to it. In this case, this one has more of a brown tone to it. And the edges are actually made of a cotton material. So I went with that as the trim to keep it simple without needing to buy extra silk. So really, she is made from cotton, silk, and linen as far as the clothes go. And I have some strings I need to actually go through and snip up a little bit. But I also made this nice linen apron, put edging around it. Granted, with all the lace she's wearing, a lace apron would have been nice, but at the time frame, I hadn't really learned all the lace yet. So this went with something a bit more simple, which with the Puritan influences that were happening in this time frame, simple was perfectly fine. So you run into those people who were affluent. They would express it not in the color of their clothes as much, but in the texture and trims of what they were wearing as well, because you notice a lot of the colors tend to be dark, other than certain arrangements made for these wonderful domestic scenes in the paintings. So I used some more of the trim on the edging of the cuffs. This lace is Battenberg lace. It is a tape lace. And it is normally more popular in Victorian time frames. I happen to have the cuffs and the collar for this already. So I went ahead and took the initiative to use this kind of lace on her at this point, although a bobbin lace would have more likely had been used of some form. But for this purpose, it works really well. So besides making the wig, I also had to complete the hat recently and put trim around the edges on it as well. And I use these little clasp closures that are made of brass on the edges as well to kind of keep things simple. We have these wonderful puff sleeves. I even have black trim on them as well to really create structure. Flip her around so you can kind of see the back. There's these wonderful tippets that are on the back of her sleeves, which were still popular from Elizabethan times going forward. They showed a use of fabric. Yet again, even with it not being super bright colored, there were ways they were showing their wealth. We have multiple layers of striping going on there. And a lot of the edges, I have some areas where things are pinned because that's what it would have been used back then, is you would have pinned things together. And she kind of goes well with the wonderful tricorner hat, which is, of course, a much later period. And one of the other kinds of movies that I was looking into was actually a PBS 3-part series called The Miniaturist, which is also based in the Dutch Golden Age. That is a fictional book as well, although the costumes for that series had to be made because a lot of the costuming warehouses in Hollywood only keep a certain amount of historical clothing, and you find that it's used repeatedly over and over again in different films. If you watch from film to film, you'll sometimes notice the same clothes may be accessorized several different ways. So that was always a very interesting situation, just watching historical movies and TV shows. But the clothing in the PBS series is spot on, and I highly recommend watching it. It's very fascinating. This doll was actually inspired by a painting from the time frame. I was also researching Queen Anne's dolls, which are wooden dolls that were fashion-based dolls of the time frame. And there's a doll in a portrait called A Family Group by the Flemish artist Michael Nouts from 1655. And that painting has a little girl showing her mom this doll. The doll itself is more pilgrim-esque-like. You'll find the painting I've shared on my Instagram, and I'm going to have an image of it also on my blog here soon as I complete the entry about this lovely lady. And we need to come up with a name for her. So if you have any suggestions for Dutch names, something old around the 1600s or so, please leave it in the comments. And if you're interested in other doll situations, I do have projects coming up for a medieval series of dolls, so stay tuned for that. And if you're interested in other kinds of sewing and fiber arts, I have other videos on my channel. Consider, watching or subscribing. I appreciate any questions that you may have. You can send them to me through Facebook, Instagram, through my blog. A couple ways of getting a hold of me. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Mine is always interesting as usual. And have a great one. Bye-bye.